Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee, and Jasmine Brand is here.
Yes.
And we were having an amazing conversation without the mics on, so I know this is going to be even more fun now that we're talking. But Cahn is here.
Hello, hello.
And
Thanks
you're
for
the
having
founder
me.
of IFund Women.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and Odessa Jenkins is here also. And Odessa Jenkins, hold on, I want to say this wrong, is the founder of the Women's National Football Conference.
Yes,
Woo.
the WNFC.
WNFC.
Absolutely.
And we were talking about sports, and you were saying that sports you feel like is super important growing up, and it has been for you.
Absolutely, and I think even as for adults, but growing up, nothing builds character like sports, especially team sports. You learn how to handle adversity. You learn how to handle diversity. You learn how to communicate when things are going bad and things are going good, especially for girls and women in those scenarios where you aren't being taught to speak up and say certain things or act certain ways. Sport gives you the permission to speak up and to communicate and handle tough situations like a boss, and I think we need more of that.
I remember being on the bus going to like our field hockey games and basketball games on the away games and the bonding experience that we even had just in those trips. And then coming back, if you won, you're celebrating. If you lost, you're like
quiet on the bus.
Well, like boys are encouraged
Quiet for a second or two, and then girls have fun.
Yeah.
Like boys are like asked to create community around all kinds of stuff, sports, their gear, and then girls, venture capital, and then girls are asked to like compete with the things, right? So like sports helps you build that community, just like entrepreneurship and fundraising does. So it's kind of a dope intersection.
Now, Karen, I want to talk to you about IFund Women because we've spoken before. We did some things together with Stacey Tisdale, my partner in Wealth Wednesdays.
Shout out Stacey Tisdale. We love her.
And so it's still an issue, right? It is Women's History Month, but this is an ongoing issue that has never been rectified. But for women, when it comes to venture capital, we were just talking about that. What is the percentage of what we get? And for Black women, it's even lower. So can you discuss the disparity with that?
Absolutely. And I hate being like the Debbie Downer of the funding world, but the numbers don't lie. So women, as a collective, we receive around 2% of venture funding dollars. So 98% of VC dollars, and that's about $300 billion a year in the U.S. alone, with a B, go to men.
That's
98%
wild.
go to men.
That's wild.
And female founders of color get 0.32%.
Yeah.
0.3%. It's the numbers are disgusting.
Why is that? Is it because it's mostly white men who are, and they see somebody that's like them and they're giving it to each other?
You pretty much summed it up. Yeah. I mean, the disparities around funding are not just relegated to venture capitalists, but yes. So in order to raise VC, you have to have what's called founder pedigree. Founder pedigree encompasses three things. One, you have to have made money for the firm before. Okay. So exited a company, they know that you're a sure bet. Number two, you need to be an engineer or a head product person at a FANG company. So for like Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, it's sort of antiquated, but you've got to be an engineer or a product person at one of these massive unicorn companies that have had major outcomes. Or you have to be friends play golf with the buddies at the firm.
Okay, that
my
counts me out
dad's
of all
friend.
three.
No,
By the way, me
it's so
too.
funny that you said it.
Same.
Because it's even more extreme than that, right? Like from an even higher level, most of these founders that are getting funding, 90% of them plus are white males from 3 different schools.
Okay,
Right? So
makes
it's
sense.
not even
What are the
that
3
they're
schools?
Out League. It's like Harvard, Yale, and Stanford.
Okay,
So it's
out
not
again.
even right out. So as when Karen starts talking about these things, and you're thinking about where you're going to raise your capital as an entrepreneur, you start eliminating yourself, and you need other ways to find funding. There's no way that what has traditionally happened is going to work for us.
And then you also, in these situations, have the opportunity to not be successful with your entrepreneurship, so that if this doesn't work, well, I can just raise some more money and start something else.
Exactly.
And for you, Karen, can you talk about how you even started IFund Women? Because this all came from something that didn't work out for you.
Absolutely. So I was a female founder who could not raise funding, period. So IFund Women's my second startup. My first startup failed because we couldn't raise funding. And Angela, I was born and raised at Google. I was there for 10 years. Was extraordinarily successful. And I had access. When I came out of Google and began my company, I had access to venture capitalists just through the connections and through this color skin, the white skin privilege. I had access, right? So I could get into the room where it happened. But because of founder pedigree and the algorithms in their heads and actually on paper of who they're going to fund, it didn't matter that I worked at Google for 10 years and had a connection to such and such and got into the room. They were not going to fund my business.
Right.
They had not seen anybody that looked like me, let alone looked like Odessa. Right? So I thought to myself, truly, if it is this hard for me to raise venture capital, and I am very privileged, how hard must it be for the 89% of women entrepreneurs in this country who are women of color entrepreneurs?
Right.
And so I said right then and there, I'm like, we're pivoting, we're shutting down the first business, we're starting a funding platform. This is a massive problem.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I just was like, I'm going to try to help solve it. And that is literally why we're here.
All right. And then, Odessa, let's switch over to you, too, for a second, because you play football, all kinds of accolades, right? And I saw you said in the first 7 years you didn't even have a new helmet.
Correct.
In playing. So can you just discuss like your career, your upbringing, and then what made you decide that you needed to start your own?
Absolutely. So I'm an athlete, always been an athlete, as you said. And growing up, being a girl or a woman in a man's world, in a man's sport, particularly football and basketball in some ways when I was first coming up, it was always that you had, it was harder, and that's just the way it was. If you were the only girl on the team, it was harder for you. You couldn't go into the locker room. That's just the way it was. I ended up playing Division I basketball and then playing football, and there wasn't a place for me. There wasn't a place for me to think about making a living wage to play football, and I wanted to change that. And so in 2017, I got recruited into the NFL through the Bill Walsh Diversity Internship. I was in technology at the time as well, so it was like this great parallel path where I was an outlier both in the world of technology and enterprise and in the world of sport. So I was starting to see like, wait a minute, there's no opportunities for people like me. Women can't make a living wage playing tackle football. Why is that?
Right.
I need to dig deeper to understand why that is. And so when I left the NFL and thought, I want to create this for women. I don't ever want a woman to feel like I felt, where I could not have an opportunity because I'm not the type that you can tell me I can't have it. And so when I left, I was also exiting my first tech company, someone who had raised capital, and we had gone through the process. And so I got to 2019 and I was like, wait a minute, this just doesn't make sense. I'm a woman in sport. This is America's sport. Yep. There are thousands and thousands of women playing it. I'm going to create a business that supports the business of sport for women in football. And that's how the WNFC was born. That's actually how I found IFund Women, which is wild. That's
so tell me about that experience of you two connecting with IFund Women and the WNFC.
Yeah, so when I finished exiting the business, and it's so wild that you asked Karen the question about women raising capital, because I didn't even think about going VC route. I didn't think that was for me when I started my business.
Why is that for people? Because everybody's always like, VC money.
I never seen it. I didn't see it. I definitely never seen a woman like me raise capital. I hadn't seen any women in sport raise capital, and women in football, they barely existed, let alone raised VC funding. So I, as aggressive as I am for advancing women, because I couldn't see it, I didn't think it was possible.
Right.
That's just the truth.
So then you met Karen.
So then I met Karen, and I actually went looking for IFund Women. So I went looking for alternative ways to raise capital, and I found IFund Women. I was like, wow. This is an opportunity. Like, this money is free. I was a little skeptical, to be honest.
Sounds like a scam.
I was like, so I went to the platform, and it's like, what do you want to do? I filled out the universal grant form. I started to receive grants. My business got funded.
Off the top, you started receiving grants?
Off top, I started my crowdfunder. The reason we started the crowdfunder was for production.
Okay.
We wanted to produce women's tackle football for the first time.
Okay.
And I didn't even know about the grants, and they just started pouring in.
That's
Grants started coming to us.
Because capital is definitely one of the things that is the biggest obstacle. It might be the biggest obstacle when it comes to being successful as an entrepreneur.
And
That's
it's a shock as an entrepreneur to get onto a platform like IFund Women, crowdfund, see your friends and family start to come in. But businesses like Adidas gave us a grant. American Express chose me as one of the 100 for 100 entrepreneurs.
Amazing.
And gave my business. And then Johnny Walker gave us a big giant check in Brooklyn here. So it's just like all of that happened through being a part of the IFund Women platform. And that's when I knew we had to hook up. We had to
Yeah.
And Karen, with iFund Women, it's not just funding that you give, right? It's not just a funding platform. Can you talk about the other services that are available on that platform that you saw a need for?
Yeah. So when we started the platform, it was just crowdfunding, right? We were like, okay, what's the fastest way to cash, which is working capital for your business? We can't wait for loans. We ain't getting VC. We need it fast. So cash is fast. So crowdfunding was the first thing we did. And we realized that our beta customers didn't know how to crowdfund. And to be fair, we didn't know how to crowdfund until we crowdfunded on another platform to pay for our MVP, our minimally viable product. We kind of lied our way into another platform and said we were this creative thing when we really weren't, but that's a whole other story. So we crowdfunded 30 grand to build our platform, and that was the crowdfunding platform. And we realized that our customers didn't know how to do it. I think most people think that when they put up a crowdfunder, that if you build it, if you put it up, they will come. This is not Field of Dreams. It's sales and marketing, truly. Right. You are raising small increments of money from lots of people that you know that add up to just enough to get your business off the ground or get a new product launch or whatever it is. So we started to teach people through our Slack community how to do it, right? So people would start asking questions about, how do I track this? How do I know where my traffic's coming from? And I would be like, oh, just put your Google Analytics code into your page. And they'll be like, you're speaking another language.
Right.
What do you mean? So I would jump on a Zoom with them, screen share, set up their Google Analytics for them. And it's the business gift of a lifetime. Like teaching people oh, here's where my traffic's coming from. How can I think about marketing? So on and so forth. So from there was born our coaching program. So where we started teaching people about crowdfunding, we were really teaching them about how to build a business and how to sell and market their products. So our coaching program is an award-winning program that works to make women money. And so that is kind of like one of the crown jewels at IFund Women beyond the funding. Because to your point, of course, the number one problem in women's businesses succeeding is the lack of access to funding. The second biggest part of that problem is the lack of access to coaches, not necessarily mentorship.
Right.
Right? Because a lot of people are getting mentored and mentorship's lovely. But I want to learn how to set up my Google Analytics, how to do Facebook retargeting ads, or how to write a business plan. I want connections to banking relationships and connections to institutions who are going to give me grants
really
and partnerships.
Tangible things.
Exactly. So we started doing coaching. We started doing brokering grants for different enterprises. And we also have a marketplace for freelancers to get new customers. So the best form of funding is revenue. That's always what I'm going to say forever and always. The best form of funding is revenue.
Absolutely.
And so there are opportunities for business services entrepreneurs like graphic designers and lawyers and accountants who are entrepreneurs. They're like one-woman bands to come on the platform and get new customers.
And I think sometimes people are nervous about crowdfunding. Because, like you said, you do have to know how to market. You have to know where the traffic's coming from. People also don't like to ask for
help.
money.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
It's the
Absolutely.
first thing you have to kind of get over as an entrepreneur is asking for help.
Asking for anything.
But to give Karen credit, the IFund Women sort of playbook on how to crowdfund, the idea that that's there and you get coaching first takes a little bit of that away because you get a plan. If you have a plan, it's easier to ask. Asking without a plan makes it so much harder,
right?
Because you're dealing with all the anxiety of it.
That's true.
Well said.
So I have my own business. I'm an entrepreneur, just like Angela. I have an entertainment site, and I started it about 12 years ago.
The Jasmine brand.
It's
Make
called
sure
the
you say
Jasmine
it.
brand.
Okay,
I was going to say, can we shout it out?
shout out
Tell
to
the
the
people.
Jasmine
Yeah, but so I started about 12 years ago or something like that. I had no business plan. I had no money. I had no idea how to run a business. I was, it wasn't my intention. So knowing something like this would have been a great resource for me. What do you think is the biggest? And I never thought about trying to get funding or crowdfund, like anything like that. That wasn't in my vocabulary. My dad's an entrepreneur. He never talked to me about that kind of stuff. What do you think the biggest misconception is about crowdfunding or getting, money and that kind of thing?
I think that the biggest there's a bunch of misconceptions. One is that it's easy.
You think people think it's easy?
I do.
It sounds very hard to me.
I do. I think that people, when they look at it and they haven't done it before,
Right.
they think it looks easy. Just kind of like
If all my friends gave me $20, you like,
Now, that sounds easy.
yeah,
that's
but-
exactly right. It's kind of like you think when you're going to go sell something on the internet, it seems easy.
Yeah.
right?
You think all your
Very
friends are going to
hard.
support. You think all your family's automatically going to support. You think they'll spread the word.
Yeah.
And when you become an entrepreneur, you find out it can be a
It doesn't
lonely
work like
place
that,
to be
yeah.
in.
It's like the quickest post that you click past is that one that says, if all my followers gave me $1, you'd be like, click,
Exactly.
right? It's not
I
that
got
easy.
$30-something.
Did you?
No, she has a problem with people just
I don't like
posting
when
their
people do
cash
that.
out.
Yeah,
I
it is. It's a real
I don't like
thing.
when people post their cash up on their birthday.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't not people. I don't like when celebrities do it. And anyway, we did a topic, and then a bunch of people sent her money. I was so annoyed.
Everybody
but
was
anyway,
sending me $1.
it was so annoying. Yeah, it was so
Was
annoying.
it funny?
It was great. I want to do it again.
But anyway,
Okay, well, we need to do. You need to get an IFund Women
Yes, you
campaign,
need a
and that's what we're
campaign.
gonna do.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I think like one misconception is that is easy, which it's not. But as Odessa said, if you use the playbook and you get the coaching, which by the way is such a small investment to make sure that your round is successful, it's a no-brainer. And I think that a lot of people have crowdfunding shame, which leads to the misconception that if they eventually want to raise venture capital or go and get a bank loan,
Yeah.
it almost like delegitimizes them
okay.
when it's actually the opposite. So my phone rings off the hook with seed stage venture capital firms. They're always asking me for the tea. What are who are the hot founders? Who's crushing it? What are the new sectors? What are the new sort of micro sectors that you're seeing come up on the platform? Because they know we're getting the earliest stage entrepreneurs when ideas are fresh and new and never been done before.
Right.
And I'm giving myself chills because I just am thinking so specifically about entrepreneurs who have done never before done things, and that's like hard to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. It seems like fresh ideas are hard to come by, not for women. And so I think that just wrapping up the answer to your question, if you're listening to this and thinking about crowdfunding and you're worried about the perception, people are going to think you're like not a real business or you're asking for charity. It is not like that. VCs want to see, venture capitalists want to see that you've busted your butt and that you can get an audience and you can get people behind your product or service. And crowdfunding is literally just selling your product or service.
I think
Those
it's
are your
important
rewards.
that you talk about getting people, showing that you can get people behind your product or
Yes.
service. It's a huge part. Product market fit, getting market pull is a huge part of growth and scale. And when Karen talks about the idea that friends and family round goes first, that's normal. It's a
Right.
normal part of the capital raise process. And I think if people like you knew more that the first step is the friends and family round, then you get a seed round, then you get a series A, B, C, D. A lot of us don't know that.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't know that.
But that's a part of the process, and IFund Women helps you start that.
And that's hard too, because like for me with my companies, I haven't gotten investors yet, and I want to,
which
but
is
I-
outrageous.
Which is
Which
because
is-
it sucks using your own money all the time. But sometimes people think when you make money and you have money, why are you raising money?
That's what I always
Only
thought
for
too.
wo-
I have
only
money,
for
so
women.
why?
Only for women.
Only for women.
Only
And you're
for
exactly right.
Yeah.
So men don't use their own money even when they have it.
Correct.
Most of the time.
What stage, like, if someone is watching and listening and they've been in business 5 years, is it good for them to come to you all, or should they come at the very beginning? When is the best time, or is it any time?
Anytime. Right?
It's really any time.
Okay.
It's really any time. I mean, of course, when you are just starting out, as you said, it was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So if we had Jasmine right out the gate, of course, like it's better when to get it early.
Right.
It's been a
to get the
shorter
learning
journey. Yeah.
early.
You get to-
Yes, but we have entrepreneurs that have come to us, whether it's through COVID, to keep their doors open. We've
Yeah.
had brick and mortars that have been a lot, out for 20 years, and COVID hits,
Yeah.
and they've got a crisis crowdfund. So people are at all different stages. We also have people that have raised venture capital, a seed round, and that are having a lot of trouble raising the next round of capital because it's so much harder. Most women founders drop off the funding map after venture capital backed founders after the seed round. Getting from seed to Series A is very, very, very difficult.
What's the difference between crowdfunding and VC?
Great question.
Really good question.
Crowdfunding is when you, the entrepreneur, go out and raise capital from people that you know.
Like the first round, the first step is what you guys are saying. That's what
Yep.
crowdfunding is. Okay.
And
Yep,
usually
and
they don't
it's-
have they won't have ownership
Equity and
or
ownership.
equity
so you
in your
don't.
business.
Okay. I thought always when you gave money
No.
they had some kind of tiny Okay.
Such a good question. So there's two ways to crowdfund. There's rewards-based crowdfunding, which
Okay.
is what IFund Women does, which is, Jasmine, what's your product? Like, what would you
I have
sell
an
me?
entertainment site. I don't have a tangible product.
What's the
Let's say
service?
you had a
have a product.
okay.
What's the service?
Let's
So
say
like,
if I had a t-shirt line.
all right, but I'm trying to do like live
Oh,
coaching.
yeah.
Yeah, so like,
I got
so
so,
listen, entertainment
it's
side.
Yeah.
entertainment
So I
side,
make money
you can
off
give
ads.
a shout out.
I make money off ads.
You can
So,
say
okay, so
one of your rewards can be literally a shout
ad.
out.
Oh yeah,
an
yes,
ad.
yes. That's how I make
Yes.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
there you go.
There you go.
Okay.
She's
so,
like, I'm trying to do this live now.
I'm coaching you. I got
Exactly.
you.
So
Yeah.
somebody,
Work with me, Jasmine.
somebody gives $1,000 in your
And you give them
crowdfunding,
an
Okay.
and at that tier they can get a free shout out.
Yeah,
and then
got it.
maybe somebody donates $5,000
They
in
can
your
get a- they can get a,
crowdfunding, and they can get
They're
a
a sponsor.
video.
A skin or
And if they
yeah.
give you 10, you'll teach them how to do it.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
that's,
basically, you're getting
that's
cash.
rewards.
It's rewards. You're
Okay.
getting cash. You're selling a product or a service.
Okay.
For cash. They don't get equity in your company, no ownership in your company. It's not debt. You don't have to pay it back. It's
Okay.
literally a transaction.
Got it.
You can also do equity crowdfunding.
I know what that is.
It's more difficult in that there's a lot of legal
Yeah.
that you have to go through. You have to be, let's just leave it there. It's a good path if you are on the venture funding path and you are a tech company, SaaS company. That's a decent path.
Okay.
But for the majority of women entrepreneurs we're sector agnostic. You could be a farm to table restaurant, you could be a beauty salon, you could be, whatever, and come and crowdfund on iFund Women and raise capital, raise cash to fund your business.
Let's keep it all the way 100 too. Women of color in particular have a harder time raising capital.
Right.
Particularly VC money. And then the second round is even harder for us. If we are getting our funding as women from women, so if a VC that is owned and operated and funded by women, it's even harder to get our second round. As women of color, we need all different ways to raise capital. And I don't care what stage you are in. If there is a different way for you to get dollars into your business, you should be doing it. And that's why I think iFund Women has a special, unique place, and it's an opportunity for any entrepreneur at any stage. But for us, for Black women too, like with your business, you could be thinking about a project-based raise. That
Okay.
isn't just about your business in general. It's about something you want to go and do. Because that's what funding does. It unlocks opportunity for your business. And so these are the kind of opportunities they're trying to unlock for entrepreneurs.
Now, I fund women of color. Since we're talking about that, and the more we have way more obstacles too. So can we talk about I fund women of color, the necessity
Yes.
for that?
So when I started the business 6 years ago, right out of the gate, 75% of our customers were and continue to be women of color entrepreneurs. Okay. 22%, and I know there's a little difference in there because some people don't want to say who they are. 22% self-identified as Caucasian. Okay. So I'm watching this thing, watching the funding volume, and I know right out the gate, I'm like, oh shit. Ooh.
It's
oopsies.
fine. It's fine.
I'm like, oh shit, I know what's gonna, I can see the future and I don't like how it looks. I know that the 22% of white women are gonna raise the vast majority of capital. I saw it coming. So I happen to say to Olivia Owens, who was the founder of iFund Women of Color, she was one of my employees, she was my first employee, and I said, Livy, we are going to need to do a lot of special things and support for our customers who are largely women of color, starting right now. And I got pushback from the women of color employees, people of color employees, in my at the business. They were like, "Don't other us. Stop putting baby in a corner. Like, let it be." And I'm like, "But the funding volume don't lie."
Right.
So I was like, "All right." Like being the white lady named Karen, I would like have to mind my P's and Q's,
forget that.
even though I'm the CEO of the company. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. I did dedicate my education to this, and I am
saw
slightly
that. We were talking about
clairvoyant.
that too. We're like,
Major,
she white,
right?
but she
Yeah, I was an
Right.
AFM major
Yeah.
back in the day when DE and I weren't even letters, the people put together.
Right.
But and then I'm like, all right, kids, let's see what happens. So a year goes by. 2017 was our first year of really running the business. 2018 goes by. After 2018, I look at Olivia and I was like, 80% of the capital is being raised by the 20% of white women.
Woo, is
Go
that
find
crazy?
an engineer and a product person and build iFund Women of Color. And she was like, okay. And she did it. And we launched it at the Women's March in 2020.
Wow.
And since then, we have taken the cumulative funding volume over the 5 years of IFund Women. In the first year of running IFund Women of Color, we took the cumulative funding volume and brought it to parity.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Okay.
So, and you know, women of color are not a monolith. We know there's
Yeah.
all kinds of diversity within there, but
That's staggering to hear what it was like 80 that they were getting 22% were getting 80%
correct.
on the
It's
platform.
really disheartening.
Yeah, that's
It's the reality of
It's the
fundraising
reality.
in every way. And if you aren't intentional about creating spaces for us, that is what will happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's what's shown what happened in our society. So building products for us is critical to our success.
Odessa and Karen, how did y'all get so tight?
You know, I just honestly, we were talking
We've
about
been
this. We were
yeah,
talking about
you
this,
say.
and I think that we are both women who have dedicated our life to accelerating equity for women. And it's as simple as that. We care about women. We've dedicated our businesses to it, our lives to it. And I think we're going to see women get equity or die trying. And that's kind of like, that's the bond that connects us. Obviously, the business connects us, but that's the bond that connects us.
Yeah, I mean, and we met obviously through IFund Women a long time ago, and you know, OJ and I both being in tech and both being women who are doing this thing from like, I'll do this till I die, meaning like advocate for women. You know, all the money for all the women now is like
Now.
my hashtag, which is very long. And
That's a very long hashtag.
but like,
like
that
that,
is
though.
all the money for all the women now.
Now.
Yeah, like literally right now. Not yesterday, right now. So we share this common bond, and we, you know, I've called her many times over the years with like business struggles, and she's, you know,
Same.
So
I think we've coached each other, right?
Okay.
And
Yep.
I think it's a representation of what you want to see from more executive women. Is it's okay to be coached by another woman. I don't have to knock the crown off of your head.
Right.
You don't have to knock the crown off of mine. We talk about passing batons back and forth earlier. Like we can both stand in the light and shine. And I think that's why we have this great relationship. But there's also technology. We both love technology.
Right.
and
which is
football.
important.
I'm a-
And football.
and football.
And football.
So that's the
And football.
connection.
Yeah.
Well,
Makes sense
yeah.
now.
I can't wait. You're like, I'm gonna get you out in the course. Yeah. Oh my God. I do throw a tight spiral. I will say. Yes, I do.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
I have not seen you throw a football. Okay, this is happening.
Bring it.
This is
I've got many
okay.
footballs.
Yeah, we just found some
Now,
stuff
what are
out.
some other some of the biggest success, I can't even say the word, not sex, success stories that you've had on IFund Women?
Oh my gosh, so many, Angela. Okay, so many, but I'm going to talk about a couple. So Kim Roxy, who is a girl out of Houston, a woman out of Houston, shout out Kim Roxy, founder of Lamique Beauty. It is a clean beauty line that Kim started, honestly, 20 years ago. Kim started as the brow lady in the mall. Her mother gave her a loan. Loretta, God rest her soul, Loretta's always around, who's Kim's mother. Kim's mother gave her a $500 loan to go start her brow business in the mall at a stand. She used to go to the food court to bring customers over.
Oh, wow.
She grew. She went into a brick and mortar space, was doing brows and makeup. COVID hit. She was like, all right, I got to pivot to being a direct-to-consumer, to selling products online.
Yeah.
She had already set up her manufacturing. Stuff is made locally in Texas. It's all clean. Her mother unfortunately passed of cancer. Kim is very particular about the
Products. The
ingredients
ingredients
in the product. Long story medium, Kim came to IFund Women. I didn't know her. She was a person that just came, raised $55,000 in cash in 1 month
Wow.
from almost 500 funders.
That's
because her
amazing.
products are so good. She then was another person who got the Amex 100 for 100 grant. She got a grant from Caress, who was the founding partner of IFund Women of Color. She then, this is gonna I'm not gonna cry, but honestly, I want to. I'm not gonna cry. Fast forward to the royal wedding, Meghan and Harry has. Meghan Markle started wearing Kim's product, and it was in Allure magazine, and
wow.
she blew up.
Wow.
She is now in Ulta Beauty. She's in many other major retailers. She's on the CBS morning show.
That's
She's just
amazing.
has blown up But like having Meghan Markle
That's a big deal.
Can you imagine out of nowhere?
out of nowhere, and I just
But
love
that's
this.
how amazing the product is.
Right.
It really
The
is.
product is great, and
Lamique, you said?
Lamique, Lamik, and you can find it on Ulta Beauty.
Okay.
It's sold exclusively online at Ulta Beauty. So that to me is just the epitome of a success story. This is a girl from Houston who started with $500 and has a great product and knows how to sell it. And here she is.
Are there any stories like this that surprised you? Like you didn't think that maybe they would be as successful, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't see that one coming. Is there anything like that? Or are you pretty good at predicting?
It's interesting, Jasmine. You can't predict necessarily when someone just starts their campaign. You can't predict what's going to happen until you start to see the funding volume.
Yeah.
It's really the founders. It doesn't matter what business sector they're in. It doesn't matter if they're in tech, if they're in beauty, if they're in food. It's the founders who can sell and market.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who win. And the ones who do the coaching or we have a free coaching product and we have a paid coaching product. The paid coaching product is so affordable, but even if you use the free tools,
right,
you get the playbook for free. If you take the time to fill it out and have a plan, those are the ones who win.
Yeah.
So
this would be a good gift for entrepreneurs too, I feel like.
It really
the coaching
would.
at a minimum.
Yep.
Would be a good gift.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And Odessa, what's the end game for you?
I think for me, I am, anything that involves, as I said, connecting technology, advancing women in sport is what I'm going to do. Obviously, the WNFC and seeing that continue to grow, continuing to stand in audience with women like Cahn and businesses like IFund Women. That is really my future. I'm going to continue to lead in tech. I'm going to continue to lead in sport and particularly represent Black women and show that we don't have to be in a box. We don't have to represent one thing. We can get a plan, we can get a purpose, and we can make some cash and keep on multiplying that over and over again. So my future really is in representing women who stand tall in the world of creating and accelerating equity.
Did the whole Silicon Valley Bank and because I know that was a lot of tech startup money, did that affect people at IFund Women? Because I know a lot of people had their money there.
Yeah. So we don't bank with SVB. That being said, the entire startup ecosystem was just upended.
Yeah.
Right. We have a lot of friends. We were talking about this on the way in. We have a lot of friends in the startup ecosystem, both men and women, who have just been going through hell, and our hearts genuinely go out to them. As it relates to women entrepreneurs, we're already at 2% of venture funding. We're going to go down. It is going to be near impossible to raise venture capital for the foreseeable future. And the reason for that is because the VC firms needed to help put cash in to shore up the companies that had money at SVB to help them make payroll. And it's a real mess right now. It doesn't bode well for the entire startup ecosystem with regards to raising money. And for women, it's going to be exponentially harder, which is even more of a reason why IFund Women is such a critical, essential service for entrepreneurs, because we are not a venture capital firm.
Right.
We are a marketplace where you can come, you can get collateral-free loans, you can get grants, you can do crowdfunding. You can have some control over whether you can raise capital or not through even just crowdfunding. So thank you for asking, though, by the way. That was a very kind question.
I might have to come over to IFund Women and get some crowdfunding tips to
I
get
may
my
too.
campaign
Yeah,
together.
I may need to give me a coach.
Seriously.
The paid one.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should
Jasmine,
work on that.
I will
Y'all
be your
should.
coach, and how about on the house?
Yeah.
What?
There
I'll
you
pay,
go.
but I want you to be my coach.
She
I'm-
sets your pace.
We do okay, but I'll take you as a coach and mind your business. Mind your business in your pockets, okay?
All right.
Like Olivia told her first. Just wait, mind your business.
I love that.
No, but that's great, and I would love for you to detail that journey, as well. I might have to do it too. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's do it.
Those
Let's
dollars
do
didn't
live
add up to enough for
coaching.
me on the Cash App.
How much did you
she got
raise
like-
on the Cash
Yeah,
App?
how much
$30
is
something
like
dollars?
Oh yeah, $30 ain't gonna get
Because
it.
my
It
issue
really
is when
do.
celebrities do it, like on they put their Cash App on their birthday, and I'm like, y'all are good. Like, stop. Like, y'all don't need
Celebrities
to do
do that. It's
that.
a thing.
Yes, they're like,
I
if
know.
all-
I was
I
like,
didn't
I'm
know-
like,
I was-
they're like, if
I
all
didn't know
my
that was a
followers
thing.
give me $1 for my birthday, and it makes
Yeah.
me
but
so
what
mad.
are you
because
doing with the
Skip.
money?
Probably
Somebody
Shopping.
did donate it. I remember that.
Oh,
I
they
forget who it
donated.
was.
I think we used your money to have lunch.
All
That's
right,
a-
then
that
donating
wasn't a
it to your
donation.
belly.
I
I
don't know.
know.
if I shared
But
that.
Jasmine's lunch costs way more than $30.
It always does. It does. This is a fact.
I don't think
like to
it's,
eat.
I don't think it's hard to do that in New York City right now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But no, I do love the synergy that you guys have and how you came together so organically and explained everything so well. And I do feel like, and I met Karen a long time ago. It must have been early on.
It was really early
Yeah,
on.
it was really early on.
Yep.
But I love the progress, and we're gonna use it.
Yep, we sure are. We're gonna talk about it, and
yes.
I'm gonna talk about it on the show, on the show about like the process and all that kind of stuff.
We
Because
can
I'm like
do
a
some- we
regular
can do
person.
some live coaching and really
Yeah.
like dig in.
I think the journey from, especially now in your business, to where you'll be after coaching would be really dope too.
I'm with it.
I would love to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Odessa, I'm gonna get back on into sports.
Let's do it. Let's do
You were
it.
playing hoops
No,
the other
I'm serious.
day.
You
She
said
was,
when you
yeah.
were talking
Shooting
about
around.
it, you sound like you love it. So don't quit. Keep
Okay.
going.
All right. Let me build some character.
You get
Yeah.
into pickleball.
I've never played pickleball, but Donnell Rawlings, that is his favorite sport to play.
Pickleball.
Is it?
What is that?
Oh,
It's everybody's like investing in
They
pickleball
are.
What
right
is
now.
it? Can you describe it?
it's like
Tennis.
ping pong on a mini tennis court.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
badminton,
Okay, I know what badminton is. Okay.
Yes.
kind
Yeah.
of. He got
Like
me
the
a
remix?
paddle and everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to
Oh,
football.
you got a
Yeah, I
paddle?
have a paddle. I have my own
I'm a
paddle.
stick to
So
football.
I haven't played yet, but my
Yeah.
plan is I want to play pickleball.
All right.
For no good reason.
Let's figure
other
it out.
than
Can we set it
you
up?
Want,
I
yeah,
don't- I
you
don't
want to
wanna
play
play.
pickleball?
I
don't want to.
I will totally play pickleball with you.
All right.
Let's take
Let
a
me
lesson.
call Donnell.
All right.
Yeah,
All right,
look
but
at you.
honestly, thank y'all so
Pickleball.
much, Odessa Jenkins, Karen Cahn. Appreciate you guys so much. IFund Women. How can they find both of you?
Go to ifundwomen.com and get started. We are there for it on iFund Women on all the socials.
Yes, and you can find me at odessajenkins.com or follow the WNFC. Please follow IFund Women, because when you follow them, you follow women. So do that.
All right. We love it. Way up with Angela Yee.
Way up.